one of the guys that get a lot of credit is Steve Blackman for muscular development. I mean, those guys have done an extraordinary job for years and years and years to promote health, to promote fitness, to promote strength, to promote bodybuilding, powerlifting, weightlifting, and all of those kind of things. So the contributions they made is gigantic, and I hail them for that.
Thank you. Guys, Arnold, guys.
Well, I was listening in the back a little bit what some of you had to say, and it is just so unbelievable. I don't think we've ever had that in any bodybuilding competition. We have that many champions, and the wisdom and the knowledge of that many champions on one stage. So I really want to say thank you all from the bottom of my heart. This contributes so much to our fans that are coming here every year. The only thing is it's really terrific. How to build a body, how to be Mr. Olympia, how to be our classic winner, or Mr. America, whatever the title is that you're going after. But this is really, I mean, a cumulative kind of knowledge that is beyond belief.
No, absolutely, Arnold. There's no... Rarely do we get this combination of not only top champions, but the years. 30 years celebrating the Arnold Classic, and you've always been a visionary. I mean, clearly you saw this coming years ago when you started over at the Vets with a few booths, but you knew you would expand it, obviously now globally.
Well, it was clear that Jim Lorimer and myself, we had a very clear vision where we wanted to go. And we always looked at it in two ways. One of them was to promote the sport of bodybuilding, to increase the cash prices, to increase the kind of respect bodybuilding is getting, and to have competitions like this all over the world. But at the same time, we also wanted to popularize the sport of bodybuilding for the general public. Because we always feel like, you know, this is no different than skiing. You watch the Olympics and you watch the downhill race and the slalom, but not everyone wants to do that, or is ready to do that, but people want to go and ski recreationally and just have fun. And the same is with bodybuilding. There's so many people that want to get into training and they didn't know how to do that, they want to be inspired. So our competitions was all about inspiring, and this is why we added then weightlifting, and we added powerlifting, we added the World's Strongest Man competition, and all those events. And now we have 78 different sports. And one of the things that we're most proud of is that we really want to reach out and promote bodybuilding and fitness training for everybody. So it's not just for guys like this that are extraordinarily strong and powerful and have a fantastic body. But what is if someone has a leg missing because they just came back from Iraq and they lost a leg, and they have an artificial leg? Do we have a competition for that person? And we do. So the day when, yesterday when I walked around, for instance, we saw people that had handicaps, physical handicaps, which really, you couldn't call it that anymore, because they were, like I was saying yesterday, clean and jerking like 315 pounds with an artificial leg. So it was really extraordinary. There were Special Olympic kids there that were doing martial arts. There was all kinds of people with certain kind of problems and handicaps that are included in our fitness movement and included in the Arnold Classic, because we want to promote all over the world the idea that fitness and strength training and all of this stuff is for everybody. It doesn't matter what your category is, what your income level is, if you're handicapped or not. Everyone has the right to be healthy and fit. So this is what we're promoting, and this is why we have 78 different sports. We have 21,000 athletes here, and it is really a celebration of health and fitness and everyone having a great time.
Absolutely. Arnold, lots of changes this year, lots of drama going on. As everybody knows by now, we had a split with the IFBB, which now on kind of two different federations. Your thoughts on all the changes going on currently?
Well, you have to understand that when you think about what I just said, that we want to do bodybuilding for the mass, for the millions and millions of people in all the 200 plus countries around the world, then what we are talking about here, the competitive bodybuilding or the pickering that's going on between federations, is kind of like the peak of the iceberg. This is like the top of the iceberg that you see. But underneath what is this huge mass, this is the general public is, and they don't care about any of that. No one, when you walk down Fifth Avenue in New York and you ask anyone, do you have a major concern about the IFBB from the professional section and the IFBB amateur section have just now had an argument, and that Jim Manning is not getting along with Raphael, and they say, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's what they would say.
So you have to kind of like, when you see situations like that, I hope they get back together and all of this stuff, and we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that, that we stay away from this whole idea of punishing bodybuilders when they don't compete in this place and punishing them when they compete in another federation. All of this is nonsense dialogue, that you should always look for who are the best bodybuilders, who are the best weightlifters, who are the best javelin throwers, who are the best skiers, and not all those restrictions here. Only if you don't compete here, and only if you don't say this, and only if you don't endorse this, it is kind of little thinking. I'm not into that. I'm into just promoting bodybuilding. It doesn't matter if there are 2, 3, 4 different federations and people can go around and all those guys can compete over there and they can come over to compete over here. Let's have a great time and let's celebrate the sport of bodybuilding rather than being so picky about all of this stuff. But you have to understand that I'm only interested in one thing, and this is to make this sport getting bigger and bigger and bigger all the time. And when you think about it, that when I came over here to this country, we had maybe 5,000 gymnasiums, and now we have I think there's like 60,000 clubs that we know of, and this is not even counting now, places like all the police stations and all the fire stations and all the military bases and all this. So I mean, the growth of this whole thing, there's 200,000 gymnasiums worldwide. I mean, it is an $80 billion industry, and if you add the food supplement business, which is another $120 billion industry, I mean, you're talking about an enormous industry, growth for people to get jobs and all this. Those are the kind of issues that I'm talking about that is extremely important. And at the same time to promote also the professional side of bodybuilding so that bodybuilders can make millions and millions of dollars. My vision always was, I was always mad when I saw on television hearing, this basketball player was just bought for $30 million and this football player was bought for $50 million. I said, well, that's where we ought to be in bodybuilding. And so my struggle and my fight will continue on until we can raise the cash prices and until we can have that kind of respect. And it's an ongoing struggle, and I'm so proud of how far we've come, and I'm so proud of each and every one of those guys that have become champions, because not only they're champions, but they're so articulate in explaining the training and to motivate people and all this stuff. So I'm a really happy camper being able to facilitate and to put on this show here, and there's such great athletes around it.
Absolutely. Speaking of changes, the newest addition into pro bodybuilding has been classic physique. And I know you've been a very big proponent of classic physique. As you watch the classic competitors on stage, what are your thoughts as to how that class is evolving and the physiques that we're seeing on stage?
Well, I think this class is a new class. I think since 2016, right? If I'm not mistaken, yeah. And I think it's terrific because I don't want the big bodybuilders that are just monsters that weigh 300 pounds disappear. But what I want to do is I want to keep the traditional kind of a physique alive that we had nowadays. And so I think that the classic physique is one way of doing that. So that you have, let's say, the Mr. Olympia, you have the Arnold Classic winner and all this, and guys are just really the most muscular, most extraordinary poses, and most defined, and most proportioned, and all this stuff. But in the classic physique, you can only go to a certain body weight if you have a certain height. So a guy that is like 6'2", with 6'2", he can only go up to 240 pounds. He cannot be 250 pounds or 280 pounds. So it forces you to perfect of what you have, this 240 pounds, to such an extent that you really use everything, 100% of every little ounce of talent. If it's in posing, if it's in proportion, if it's in definition, and all of this stuff in presentation, everything, you have to really get deep down inside and really use every ounce in order to be the winner in that, because otherwise someone else will beat you. But it's not by being bigger. That is not the thing that we are asking for. You can be big, you can be cut, but not that big like the guy said the day when Mr. Olympia or Arnold Schwarzenegger stage.
On that same note, a couple of years ago you were very vocal on where the physiques were going in the open. In particular, the bellies. You referenced some of these guys who look like bottles, that they were just misshapen, kind of, you know, not really the ideals of what bodybuilding should be all about. Do you feel like the changes that you implemented into your shows has helped in that respect over the last 2 years now?
Well, there's two things. One of them is that I think as we get into certain kind of supplements and certain kind of things that people are taking, that maybe creates this kind of a more bloated look or extending the belly where you don't have that much control over the belly. I think that, you know, for every attack there's a defense. So if you see that happening, then you have to do something about it. And I think that you have to just spend hours and hours to practice the vacuum so you keep that stomach in. Because people do not come to a show to see bellies. And if they want to do that, they go to maternity ward or something like that. See plenty of stomachs there. But I mean, it's when you come to a bodybuilding show, you got to see guys that are able to do a vacuum and that keep that stomach in. You got to train. If it is hours and hours every day, it makes no difference. But you got to train to keep your waist small. And so this is really was the issue. And I thought that by taking the category of posing out of the judging procedure was a big mistake, because the posing is the most important thing. I mean, you can have the greatest body in the world, but if you don't have, if you're not able to really display your body, if you're not able to hold your pose for 20 seconds at a time, if you're not able to go and turn without tripping over and all of those kind of things, and if you're not able to suck your waist in when you turn and keep it in with a smile, then, you know, you haven't trained enough in that whole thing. So this was my argument. My argument was always, I don't mind the monster guys because people move on. I mean, the people get in better shape all the time. The day they're in better shape than when I was a champion, and you know, in 20 years from now, people will be in better shape than they're today. So that's all perfectly fine. But let's just say, let's keep the great classical physique. Let's keep the small waist and the wide shoulder and the kind of athletic look, even though bigger. And so I felt like we in the Arnold Classic have included now the posing again. Because of that, you will see that guys have made much more effort. Over the last 5 years, I've seen great changes already. Very rarely did I see anyone yesterday's stomach get out of control. Very rarely, and I look at that in a very sensitive way. And so I think that I want to congratulate the champions for having made a real effort to pay much more attention to posing and to the presentation. And I think in the end it is really beneficial for the audience to watch that. And you can see the reaction when someone poses well on stage. You see the reaction of the audience, you know, it gets up, there's more excitement and all that stuff. So it's great that all of you have really paid attention to that and really started really thinking about, you know, keeping the waist as small as possible.
You know, it was nice we had a few classical teams, Hidetake Yamagishi from Japan, very classical, Cedric, always very classical, very much in your own style from years ago. And then you had Freddie Smalls up there in the spirit of Kai Green. He didn't stand on his head, but absolutely phenomenal. But differences between classic and you know, pop and lock in and all that kind of stuff. But the audience seems to like them both.
Well, the audience clearly liked both, but I just thought yesterday was a perfect example of how great and entertaining posing can be. I mean, it was wonderful, the different styles of posing, you know, kind of the slow. It's basically a reflection of yourself. You know, it's great to watch the slow performance and the graceful performance. And then you have someone come out and do kind of like a dance routine, and also to show the flexibility and all of that. I mean, to see that many guys going down in a split position, I mean, I was holding myself and said, ow. And this is like wild. In my case, I tell you, I've never seen anyone do a split. That is really extraordinary. With that size, and this huge thighs and back and all this stuff, and to be able to do a split like this. So this was great, and this really adds to your posing routine's points, I think. And so I thought the posing yesterday was really extraordinary and very entertaining for me and all the people that I had there that they've never seen a bodybuilding competition before.
Absolutely. Changing the subject, we've just seen the Olympics come and go, Winter Olympics. In every sport, from you pick it, you know, from baseball to curling, there's drug controversies these days. What are your thoughts on that presently and where that is today in the sports in general?
Well, first of all, I want to just, because you said the Olympics, it's really interesting, you know, because bodybuilding was controlled for so many years by weightlifting. The Weightlifting Federation, as you know, Bob Hoffman, AAU, you know, and not that they were evil people or anything like that. They tried very hard to help bodybuilding, but nevertheless, the first priority was weightlifting. And so bodybuilding for years was affected by that they didn't get the full attention of a federation that was not just thinking first on weightlifting and then bodybuilding, or first on powerlifting and then bodybuilding. And the same thing happened also in the Olympics. All of a sudden, there was a documentary on about snowboarding, and they were complaining how for years they were controlled by the ski federation. You know, skiing meaning that you ski on two skis, and the snowboarders have one board, and they wanted to be separated. They couldn't separate. And so they were always stuck with their performances that were boring and that were not really exciting. And then they separated from the ski federation. And now they have all those different competitions in snowboarding, and this became kind of the hardest competition. And now they are exploding, and they're going even much further than skiing is. And this is exactly what happened in bodybuilding. When we got free from weightlifting, we love weightlifting, and we have them included in our classic here, in our sports festival and all this, but we are now on our own, and we make the decisions in which direction we want to go with bodybuilding. It's not a Bob Hoffman, it's not a weightlifter that makes the decision, it's bodybuilders and people that are interested in bodybuilding that make the decisions. So this is the great thing, and the kind of things, the growing pains that we went through, other sports go through the same way. So it was interesting to watch that, how the snowboarders finally celebrating and say, we are free and now we can do our own competition. So that's number one I want to say. Number two, when it comes to drugs, look, I think that as long as there will be sports, there will be drug use. And there will be drug testing, and there will be, for every test there is, there will be a way around it, because that's what drug companies do, is they check what is available in technology and then you do the drug testing. So you really never know anymore when you look at any sports event who takes something, who doesn't, who is enhancing here, who is enhancing there, and all those kind of things. And we, of course, the Arnold Classic organization, we don't get involved in those kind of issues because we have 78 different organizations here. So we have, you know, the gymnasts here, we have the cheerleaders here, we have the powerlifters, we have the world's strongest man, we have the fencers. We have all of those different federations here. So we cannot get involved in all of those different federations' drug policies and drug testing policies. So we just go and have a blanket statement that says, look guys, this is bodybuilding. Let's build the body, let's make the body healthy, and let's stay away from drugs and all kinds of this stuff. But we cannot go and tell someone, I think that you've been taking something that maybe you can attend or something. So we don't get involved in this. We have 78 different sports, 78 federations, and they have to do their own checking, and they have to have their own policies. And we are very happy that if there are many sports part of this, and we hope that they have their own policies and follow through.
Governor, let's switch gears for a moment to last night. Right here in this very stage, we saw a new champion, William Bonac, crowned. But I want to key on the man he beat last night, and that's Dexter Jackson. All-time winningest Arnold Classic champion. And at 48 years old, continues to defy Father Time. And missed this title by 1 point. What do you think about Dexter and his extraordinary career here on the Arnold stage?
Well, in the movies we have special effects. This is no special effect. This is the real life. And so to me it is, beyond belief. Because I tell you that when I came back to compete in the 1980 Mr. Olympia, I saw how tough it is when you lay off for a while, and when you get to be over 30 in my case, how injuries started coming in, and how I could not come back as quickly and heal. And as time goes on, it becomes more and more punishing for the body. And this is why you see usually younger people doing sports and performing and competing and so on. So this is a very unusual situation that someone can go and be in the top shape in their life with the age of 48. It's not just inspiring me, but I think it is inspiring millions and millions of people that think that they're over the hill because they're 40 or they shouldn't do anything anymore. This is exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about inspiring people and making them feel kind of guilty when they walk away from the Arnold Classic and say, well, if this guy with F48 is still a champion, then we can do something about it too, and we can go to the gym and work out. So you're inspiring so many people. So this is what this is all about.
Arnold, as you came out here, you came down the line, you shook every one of these champions' hands. 30 years of excellence and Arnold Classic champions. As you look down from anybody from Rich Gaspari, the very first champion, can you remember details almost from every show? I know you've got a very sharp recollection when it comes to detail and every single year that you've seen represented here.
I would not go that far that I would say that I know details of every show. But there are certain people on this stage that have very clear memories simply because of the relationship we had and the conversations we had. And Gaspari was one of those guys that was always an animal. So I remember that, but not physically speaking, but he had this energy and he always wanted to be successful, not just in bodybuilding, but in other things, in business. And so he had that. And so it's no surprise to me that to see him be so successful with his business and to be such a great motivation for so many people. Because I think that it has to be clear that there's a certain time where everyone's career comes to an end. And it's sad. It's no different than when you're governor and you all of a sudden have to leave office because there's only 2 terms and then that's it, right? So you go to Melbourne, so it's kind of like a downer. But then the same is with competing. I remember when I left this bodybuilding stage in 1980 and I thought, oh, shit. But I had something else to go to. I did Conan the Barbarian and did movies and so on. And so I think that's the key thing when there's several up here on stage, as a matter of fact, many that have taken bodybuilding and then continued on and used that background for something really good. And if it's in business, if it is to be motivational speakers or something, whatever it may be, and I think this is really terrific. And so I thought that all of those guys that came to the Arnold Classic here and started winning competition, they were very wise in using that title. And not just the Arnold Classic, but Mr. Olympia, whatever title it is, professional event, using the title to do something with that, because this is what it's all about. It's not just about being love and while you're training, but how do you make a living off that later on? How can you have a health food store and be really smart about health food? How can you have a gymnasium? How do you have a gymnasium chain? How do you have a food supplement line? How do you do all this stuff? How do you come out with your own magazine? Whatever it is, there's so many opportunities today, because like I said, it's such a growing business, it's such a huge industry. So I'm proud of each and every one of them for the great work that they've done and how much they've contributed to popularize bodybuilding.
Arnold, one of the memories I'm sure you would recall fondly was when Vince Taylor came out, did his now famous Terminator routine, and this had never been seen before. What were your thoughts as you were watching Vince do that incredible Terminator routine? Taylor, right to you.
I immediately say to myself, I wish I could move like that. It's really fantastic. I mean, it's talent. It's unbelievable talent to do this to the music and to have to stand the full body kind of moves down and all that. I never had those kind of moves down, but I mean, it looks fantastic on stage, and it looks fantastic with the posing. But this is what we were talking about earlier when we talked about posing, to be unique, to be different, and to be entertaining. And at the same time to show this extraordinary body and the definition of all that stuff. So it was fantastic.
Ronnie Coleman comes out back in the day as a multi-Olympian champion and announces to the world, I want to do the Arnold. I want the Arnold title. He says he wants the Hummer, but I actually think he wanted the title. But what did you think at that time of an Olympian champion coming onto your stage for your title?
Well, first of all, Ronnie was he was kind of like he was breaking through from where we were in size, and all of a sudden he became kind of a whole new dimension. You know, there was like just lumps and mass.
He's very lumpy.
I mean, it's like, I remember that he and I, we talked, and he was standing right in front of me just before he went out on stage. And I remember that just, it took me a while to look from the left shoulder to the right shoulder. You know, just to keep going like this, keep going like this. The shoulder was just so wide, especially when they did this lat spread. I mean, it looked like the curtain closed, and there was no light coming through. So it was really unbelievable, you know, to see that. And he was such a graceful poser also at the same time. So it was really a whole new dimension in bodybuilding. I think that he showed the bodybuilders that there's a whole other way of, in as far as size and proportion that you can go. And I think that he broke through that. And since then, a lot of the guys have broken through that, and they've gotten much, much bigger and more impressive.
One of the things you can't help but notice is as you look at all these great champions over 30 years' time, is the different kinds of physiques. Not just styles of posing, but actual physiques from Sean Ray to Mike Francois to Branch Warren. Branch brought a whole new level of conditioning that we had probably seen since Rich Gasperi back in the day. Wide as he is, tall, and as muscular as anybody on the stage. He's won 4 most muscular awards, Branch? 6, sorry. 6 most muscular awards on the stage, if that doesn't tell you everything. But what do you think of the wide variety, Arnold, of this is what truly makes bodybuilding great, is that it's not a cookie cutter. You don't have to look a complete certain way to earn a title of this stature.
Well, I think the important thing is that I think what these guys have done is that even though the bodies are so different, but they have adjusted their posing routine to their body type. And everyone has their own unique quality when they go on stage, even though, as you said, they're so different from one another. And I think that's what creates the kind of entertainment, that's what makes it enjoyable to watch. And what fascinates me is how on the hand the judges can come up with a decision. Because I tell you that yesterday, when you saw the top 6 guys standing out there, I would have needed at least another hour to stand up there and to check out body part by body part. At the time when this competition was over, I could not make up my mind yet who should win and who should not. So it gets so difficult because the guys are all getting so good, so defined, so cut. Everyone has now huge calves. Well, maybe there was one guy that didn't, but I mean, that's just the way it is. But I mean, every guy. It used to be that when you were of color, African American, they didn't have calves, and yet there was in the old days, and we white people didn't have the waistline that they had and all this stuff. But the day that's gone, it's gone. Yesterday, everyone had massive calves. Everyone had a small waist. Everyone had this huge, gigantic shoulders and all this stuff. So there is no difference between one type of a body and another. So it was really extraordinary to see that. And like I said, the judging becomes tougher and tougher today. I don't know how the judges do it to come up with a winner, because if you really take this seriously, this whole thing, you see, it's not an easy decision to make, because everyone works so hard, so many hours, and puts so much into it, so you cannot just dismiss someone and say, well, you know, maybe next time I can let him win, but this time I put so-and-so because I can't make up my mind. It's not that easy of a decision. It's a tough decision to make.
Absolutely. The judges certainly did a great job, I think, and to be applauded for that. Comparing different physiques is very difficult for these judges. Like I say, you've got guys 5'3", and you've got guys 6'2", as you were. Back in the day, you and Franco, many battles. Which, speaking of which, he's here today, and he wants a rematch on this stage right now. He says he's got the short end of the stick, and he wants you, Governor, right here. Ladies and gentlemen, Franco Colombo. Franco. Gentlemen, post down.
Thanks for your set.
How are you, sir?
Good, good. How are you doing?
I am doing very well, yes. I'm just talking with your friend here, and he was talking about when he beat you back in the 1972, Mr. Olympia.
You mean 75?
75.
Yeah.
You remember that one?
There are a lot of people, though, especially the short guys, they say I should have won. You know? And
They should have. They should have won.
Arnold said, you know what, you never catch me. Next year, maybe I'm not here. You know? But I thought that we are here for an educational seminar to talk about training, nutrition, and I've been waiting and waiting, you know, to find things from you guys, from the new champions, some secrets, nothing, just talk.
Oh, wait a minute, I beg to differ. Vince Taylor, just a few minutes, maybe you weren't here yet, he gave the secrets to his success. Hamburgers, Coke, and ketchup.
Oh, I can tell you a story about hamburgers. You know, in Europe, we didn't do much hamburgers. That's an American thing. And when I came to the United States, Arnold started getting addicted to hamburger. I don't think he even remember that. And we would go to the store. I would buy steaks. And then when he went to the store, he bought hamburgers. Then he would cook them. And then he would do his things, you know, whatever he was doing. He would go and pull them out, burn. And I never got to taste a good hamburger because it's overcooked. And I never figured out if he was doing it on purpose, that I cook, or, you know, whatever, he didn't care, you know. And I have to tell you one thing. For Arnold, they're always number ones and numbers 5. There's no number 2 too much. And the number 1 was, he prioritized the training. Arnold says number 1 is training. Every time in the gym I slow down training, he will say, Franco, get over here, do 1 more rep. You did 9. Well, I counted in the mirror. You're supposed to do 11. I thought we were doing 10, you know. But he saw food as more like essential, and you do have to eat when you train. And we were like doing everything that was as fast as possible. Like in the morning we did a good protein drink. And you know, it's very interesting that we never really went on a strong diet. I think you people should know that. Like, we never believed in low-fat things. You know, everything was, no, forget the milk. We want whipped cream. You know, and that is, that's how we trained.
But that's why we were never as ripped as those guys that were. You got to be honest, Franco, here. Okay? I know you're Italian, but what the hell?
know, I didn't like the skin was always a little thick here. And I never liked it. But then we competed and they used to give body parts. And then one day Frank Zen came to me, and Frank Zen says, I beat Arnold, so you next. I say, okay. I say, we're going to compete 100 times, and you will never beat me. And I say, even in your sit-ups, he used to do 1,000 sit-ups. And when I got to 25, I had aches and pains, and I went home. And I didn't sit up, so after that he got used to it to lose. But, you know, I want to say that we didn't even know probably, I don't know, you knew. But once in a while I did mind training, you know, like talking like that with the mind, and I didn't even know I was doing that probably.
Take me back, Arnold, to your early days with Franco. Before the big bucks started rolling in, you guys were putting up bricks. You were building walls in California. Take us back to that.
Well, bodybuilding started like that, you know, where people really had to work and had a regular job. And so because I was Mr. Universe and because Franco was Mr. Universe and Mr. Olympia, didn't mean that we didn't have to work. I mean, I remember Joe Weider gave us $65 a week. Okay, so you have to think about that. But we were very grateful that we got that money because it gave us a little cushion and a little bit something. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, we had to go out and do construction work. Franco was a construction worker and he was a bricklayer and a masonry expert. He trained that in Italy and in Germany. So I knew that, and I was always kind of more the businessman. So I said to Franco, there's no reason why we shouldn't open up a company that's pretty easy in America. All we have to do is get to the city hall and get the business license and go to the IRS and let them know we make an estimated amount of money every year and we pay the taxes and get our social security number in orders. And that's exactly what we did. We put an ad in the paper in the LA Times, and 2 days after we put the ad in, European bricklayers, experts in masonry work and stonework and orders, the earthquake happened in Los Angeles. And so a lot of the chimneys fell off and a lot of cracked walls and patio floors and orders. And so Frank and I, we got jobs day and night. I mean, all we did was work on construction and made a lot of money this way. And so this was kind of our beginning. But that's where bodybuilding was then. You had to kind of figure out how do you, in those days we trained like 5 hours a day. Well, not him. He didn't like to train that long. Frank trained around 4 hours.
I had to talk to people sometimes.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But so we had 2 different body types. Mine, I would always like to be a little bit overtrained because this was my only way to really get defined. Because, like as he said, we were not on a diet per se. We were on a diet, but you know that just meant don't have desserts or something like that. But we were not. And even that didn't work because a week before the Olympia we went to the House of Pies and had 2 cherry pies and all that stuff. So we didn't always have the discipline. But in any case, I overtrained. That's how I got defined. And Frank trained also very hard, but he didn't like to train as hard. He trained as hard but not as long, I should say. And his body didn't need it. But we were, you know, had a great time being training partners. You have to understand that I come from the bodybuilding background, the weightlifting kind of background. So when I met Franco in 1965, he won the European Championships in powerlifting in the lightweight division. And I won the Junior Mr. Europe competition. So that's how we met. So he said to me, I want to be a bodybuilding champion. And I said to him, I want to be a powerlifting champion. So we started training together when I moved to Munich eventually. And then I talked Weider into bringing Franco to America. So because I came over here in 68, so Weider brought Franco over in 69. So this is the great work that Joe Weider did. He did not kind of like just throw money at you, but he gave you opportunities. And he gave us opportunities, Frank and me. We wouldn't be sitting here if it wouldn't be for Joe Weider. he has really helped us. He gave us the exposure in the magazines, and the covers inside the magazine and all that stuff. And he was an absolute jewel, and we were like best of friends with him until he passed away. But this is where bodybuilding started. He had good work, and we never were shy of working. And not only because of bodybuilding, but because we were immigrants. And Frank and I, we were always the kind of immigrants who loved America. Loved America. And we said, we got to work twice as hard as the Americans because we have to give something back. To say thank you to America for receiving us with open arms and giving us all these opportunities.
How was Arnold as a person?
He never did a brick. He was the helper. He mixed the cement, and with the wheelbarrow. He was very busy. I had to let the bricks. However, like to talk about Joe Wiener, he was very generous. We actually started training, and when we laid bricks, one good thing came out of that, and that was we got more definition. And Joe Wiener actually, Arnold started with $65. Then I got 65. Then Arnold got a raise. He got 85 a week. Okay? It was,
he was bigger than you.
Yeah, it was big progress. Arnold was more the champion,
One thing I can tell you is, I remember the routine that was here became kind of known because, so Franco was a very good craftsman. I was the business guy, I always was good with numbers. So I said to Franco, I said, let me work out and make the proposals and work out the estimates. So I started working and measuring things and writing down numbers, but all in German, centimeters and millimeters and meters and all that stuff, so that the people could not understand when they were looking at our paper. So then I said, okay, Franco, how much do you think this will be approximately? What do you think? Franco says that it will be probably $2,000 or so. He says that the material will be $1,000. Boring, the wheelbarrow, and the mixing machine and all that stuff. Because he says, I think for $2,000 we can do it. So I would then go to the person and they would say, Franco says it is $5,000. And they said, $5,000? And I said, well, let me work him over a little bit. They said, I think I can get them down to around 4. I said, but let me work on it a little bit. So Frank and I will get in the corner and we start screaming in German, das kannst du doch nicht machen, das ist doch viel zu teuer. Das ist nicht so eine große Fläche, kommt doch Frank, du musst jetzt arbeiten. But this is how we were arguing, and they couldn't understand the thing we were saying. And Frank was arguing back in German and in Italian, and then they would go back and he says, okay. I say I got him down to $4,000. so this is how we made up the estimates. So Franco was very happy with my estimates.
Actually, I believe he could lose the job. They had like $3 in the pocket. I said, no, if you lose the job, you get to lower the price. And he would tell him, okay, Franco, I lower the price. I said, no, 4,000.
Yeah, exactly.
And he said, can you start right now?
How did you do this with Joe Weider? Now, I know you used the same tactics to Joe Weider. How did you work this with Joe to get raises?
Joe Weider had different things in the mind. He would go to Arnold and never talk to me too much about it. Arnold was like a boss in that area. And he would say, Arnold, I need 10 articles. You do the articles with Franco, call Frank Zane, then we call all the guys to the apartment and do crazy articles. And at the same time, Joe Weider, one time I asked him, I will never ask him again. I said, we have to get more money. He said, the money we get, I go Friday to Safeway store and I spend all the money. And he says, oh, that is really bad. And I said, why? He says, if I give you too much money, you get fat. And he's like, he had an answer for everything. And I would get quiet and say, no, Arnold, you do it all the time.
You're absolutely correct about that, because I remember walking with Joe one time out of a temple, and there was this homeless person standing outside and saying, oh, please, help. I haven't eaten in 7 days. And Joe turned in and says, I wish I had your discipline. But anyway. Joe was, for me, a little bit easier than for Franco to kind of manipulate. Because to Joe, I knew that he didn't have a son. Joe Weider had a wonderful daughter, but not a son. Eric Weider had a son. Ben Weider had a son by the name of Eric. And so I always would go when I wanted something from Joe and he would say no. I would always go and say, Joe, I said, it's the weirdest thing. I sometimes wake up and say, I feel like I'm your son. And Joe says, wow, I'm telling you, you're so much like me, eh? Those bastards, those other bodybuilders, you just take advantage of me. You work hard. Oh, I really like you. You're like a son. I said to Joe, I said, I feel like a son. And wouldn't it be cool? I said, I'm really your son. And all this. And then I would say to Joe, I said, look, Frank and I want to go to Munich for this bodybuilding competition. We need your airline tickets. I think, can you get the airline tickets? And there's now, of course, why didn't you say so, eh? You know, and so he gave us the tickets, but then a week before he would just deny us the tickets. So Joe was, for me, easier to deal with because I always used kind of the emotional thing about him, his son. So that was a deal closer.
Yeah, the also though you appreciated and he saw your potential that would never end, and you know it saw all that. That's why, and you came to me, by the way. That's true. We actually did something that nobody does today in bodybuilding. None of them was. We went to Europe and we competed like in Eastern Europe, there, B and so on. Then we went to Napa and competed there too. And then we actually competed one time. The first time we competed here in Columbus, Ohio. That was the first show probably. We went to London, and Arnold one day, I'm the professor in the university, and I won my class in the amateur. And we flew that next morning early, and Jim Lorimer picked us up with a private jet from New York, and we came here to this place. And all the bodybuilders were lined up. They delayed the show, and they were so happy that Arnold and Franco are not here. And he shot from behind, and somehow I say, you go there, and I go here. And then every time I say something Arnold doesn't like to listen, then he switches it. So it's going like this, but if you start touching the bodybuilders, and all of a sudden they get the vibrations. And they go like this, and they see Arnold sneaking in there, and I'm sneaking here, and they were all like this, and all of a sudden everything came down. You remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was incredible that we were able to compete the same weekend in 2 different continents. And we were so hungry, we wanted to compete in everything, everywhere. And we never paid attention. And Joe Weider went to Arnold, and I remember saying, why?
No, but I mean, I think that the other point that you were about to address is about the federations. Because think about that. I was competing in the IFBB Mr. Universe contest and won in New York. Flew over, and a week later competed in the NABA Mr. Universe contest and won. And the next day, because of that private jet that Frank is talking about, we flew from London to New York, and there we were picked up in a private jet, so we could make it here at 5 o'clock when the bodybuilding Mr. World competition started, which was run by the AAU. So now you have IFBB, NABA, and AAU. And they won all 3 competitions, which was kind of the golden streak. That they win all 3 federations where you could claim, they said, no matter what the federation is, I won the title. And this we couldn't do today no more. Because of all of the crazy restrictions that we have, that you can't compete in certain events, otherwise you get penalized and punished. You know, to compete and to get thrown out or whatever. So, I mean, that were the big advantages in your days that you could do that.
Arnold, because you guys made it here in 1970 and your obvious friendship with Jim Lorimer at that point, where you made that promise that you would come back and be a promoter with him, we're here today 30 years later with these great champions. I know you guys got other events to get to, so how about a big hand for Franco Colombo and, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Thank you very much.